Hi, welcome back to the German Girl in London series. I haven't made a video in this series in for a while and I'm sorry about that, but I'm back today with another video. And today's video is about how to find a job in London when you're foreign. And this topic is one of those things that is kind of daunting. At least I felt like that when I first came to London. I mean, if you want to see or hear more like why and how I came to London, I'll link the video here. And I wasn't first planning on ever working in London on a salary. I was only meant to be staying in London for 6 months for an internship and then go back home. But things didn't turn out like that and I ended up staying in London. And obviously once I decided that I was going to stay in London and my internship was over, I had to find a job because that's the only way you're going to survive, isn't it? And at that point I didn't know that many people in London yet. It's only been 6 months and it's generally a bit harder, I feel like, to find friends in London, just because London is one of those places where not a lot of people stay or live. They just come here, like myself, for a short time and then they go back home, so it's kind of hard to really connect with people. I feel like that. But I knew a few people, so I was already living in a new flat with a friend at the time, so that worked out brilliantly. But then I was faced obviously with the question, what am I going to do now? And I did some research online and you don't find a lot about it, I guess. And there's a lot of scams again. If you type in like German looking for work in London, there's loads of crap, so don't do that. But I read in forums and stuff, and the general kind of opinion that I got was that if you want to work in London, you have to speak perfect English and you have to kind of be qualified in a way. Now, I was 21 at the time, or 20. I think I was 21 at the time, just turned 21. And I only had A-levels. I did not have, I didn't have anything really. I hadn't studied, I hadn't done an apprenticeship, nothing like that. So I was nothing. And my English was good. My English has always been good. I did an exchange program in the US when I was 16, so my English was already at like a high level, I would say. My accent maybe wasn't quite as British as it is now, but probably was actually, I don't know. But to me it was still really scary because as a German person, and my fellow Germans can probably vouch for this, you're always told that you have to get a foundation of your education. So when your German parents are just like, you need to get an education, you need to do this, you need to study, just so you have something you can fall back on. That's the thing you'll always hear, and it's definitely true in a way. It's good to get a proper education and get a qualification like a bachelor's degree, master's degree, an apprenticeship, anything like that. It's good stuff. I didn't have any of this, and for me studying in the UK wasn't really an option at the time, and I had to find a job. So here I am, and I'm gonna try and explain to you how to get a job in London. Not promising this is going to work for everyone, but I think it'll work for most people. So, you're in London and you want a job and you don't have any qualifications. What do? You go online. Seems obvious, but you go online, and I'll link a few websites below that I think are helpful. But what I found is you do not have to speak perfect English to get a job in London. In fact, most people I've worked with don't speak perfect English. Some of them speak barely English. The first job I got was waiting tables. Just working as a waitress or a bar person in London is the easiest thing you can get. Basically anyone can get that. You can speak 2 words of English and you can still get a bar job. So it can take time to find like a proper job in London, so what you want to do first is you always want to just get a bar job first, because they are everywhere. There's no way you cannot find a bar job within a week. You always can find a bar job within a week. So apply at bars, just basically go in, or you can just, what a lot of people tend to do is they print their CV like 20 times and then they walk around town to every bar they know and just hand in their CV, and then one of them usually picks them up. Before you write your CV, please Google how to write an English CV, because English CVs are written differently than, for example, German CVs, so you don't want to write it the same way and just translate it, because they have like a different format. Like in Germany we put a picture on a CV, in England you definitely don't, Also in Germany, I remember you sometimes put your religion or your gender, your birthday. None of that in England. You don't put your age, you don't put anything like that. So look that up first. And then once you have a bar job secured, that'll give you some confidence anyway, because you'll see that, you know, your colleagues won't speak perfect English, and, you know, it's not a shameful thing at all to get a bar job, because it's not your last job you'll ever have, and, you know, for some people that's, you know, it can be your last job. Not offending like bar people that work a bar job for their whole life, but I think for the majority of people it's not going to be their last job. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say a bar job is a shitty job. Anyway, so once you have a bar job, you usually have, you know, your hours, and then while you're working in the bar, you can try and find, you know, a job that interests you. So obviously it's you can't be a doctor, just, you know, you can't be unrealistic. You won't find a job in like a really highly qualified field right away, and for some things, even in the UK, you need a qualification. I say for some things because other than in Germany, you do not need a qualification for everything. From my experience in Germany, any job you want to get, you have to at least have studied, or you have to have completed an apprentice or traineeship. This is not the case in the UK. In fact, most, you know, job offers or like advertisements that you will read will say must have bachelor's degree or equivalent experience. So they are quite willing to look at your CV even if you do not have the required qualification. In fact, I was called at least twice for jobs that I hadn't applied to, but where people found my CV and thought that I was suitable, even though in their job description it had said must have bachelor's degree. I do not have a bachelor's degree. So I wouldn't be disheartened if you see ads like that, and I would still just apply because, you know, sometimes they just don't care. But for me, this is all, you know, at first to me this was all really strange, because I couldn't believe that you could become a manager here without having studied, but you definitely can. Now, to come back to kind of my story, I was working in a bar, and while I was working in a bar, I was applying other places, and I applied to a marketing research company for it was really boring, like a data entry job, so it wasn't great. But, you know, I didn't really think that I would get it. This is the first job I applied when I started applying to other jobs. This is the first job I applied, and I immediately got a call back. And I went to the interview, and they did like a language test and a type speed test and stuff like this, and I thought there was no way I'm going to pass that. Did a maths test, you see. But I passed everything, and I was employed within 2 weeks. And then I was working in London marketing research company for a year and a half. And once that was on my CV, I got a job somewhere else. What did I do next? I think I went back to a bar job after that for a little while, and then I did an internship in a management company, and now I'm working for a major record label, so that's how it goes. But it's really not that hard. The absolute majority of applying you'll do in the UK is through like via the internet, and you usually don't need paper copies of your CV or anything like that. You don't need to send them anything, you just email it. Not pretty much. Every job I had in the UK I've applied to through the internet, and I linked these websites below as I said, but like the top ones are probably Indeed, Reed, Total Jobs, stuff like this. You just type in what you want and it'll show you all the things, and with one click you apply to it. And if you let your CV be publicly searched, other recruitment agencies will also approach you. Recruitment agencies are actually a really good idea if you're looking for a job. Different than estate agencies, they don't charge you any fees. They charge the employer who's looking for employees the fees. So a recruitment agency just helps you find a job that is suitable for you, that matches your qualifications, and you can usually register with them by just calling them or sending them an email, and they'll schedule an appointment where you can come into the actual recruitment agency and they'll sit down with you, discuss what you're interested in, and then they'll look through their client base if any of their client companies are looking for a person like you. And that way I found jobs before. So it's really not that hard. And again, you don't need to speak perfect English. When I worked in the marketing research company, I definitely had colleagues that spoke not that good English. this is a good example of good English. And our job was very heavily proofreading and typing based, so I don't understand how that worked, but it did. And yeah, so don't be disheartened if your English isn't perfect. You definitely still have really good chances of finding a job here. Remember, London is super diverse. I think I read the other day that only 50% of Londoners are British. So if you're a foreigner in London, you're definitely, part of a majority. So you don't have to feel like you're an outsider. You're just like everyone else. And you can definitely rise up the ranks. This is a great thing about England in general. You can go into one sector of job, and if you have enough experience, you can become anything. You can become the manager of a company, you can start your own company. You do not need qualifications, because experience here counts a lot more, I think, than in Germany. If I went back to Germany now, I don't know if I could get any job really, because I have no traineeship, no apprenticeship, I have no qualifications as in studying. I never went to uni, and they'd probably look at me like, well, you got nothing. And I have 4 years of work experience, which in London means a lot. And every year I feel like I have more companies approach me now. Like at first it was really hard because my CV was so short, and so there was nothing exciting on it, and nowadays I have like 2 full pages, and I could get 3 pages, but I'm trying to compress it. I just have so much experience now, and it's really cool. I do not regret not studying at all, because if I had studied, I would have just come out of uni like 6 months ago, or maybe I would still be studying, because I don't know if I would have been able to do it in 3 years anyway. So I'm really happy with my decision, and I just want to say to anyone that is trying to live in London, even if it's just for a year or two, like if you want to just do it for a few years, don't be scared. It's not as hard as you think, and you also do not have to find a job while you're still in your home country. You can definitely come here and you'll find, like I said, a bar job really, really quickly if you don't mind doing that for a few months before you get into your final or your next job. Definitely do that. Do not stress about it. Companies here are really open to employing foreigners. They actually, they welcome it usually, and as a German person you have a lot of great opportunities, because German language is also like really desired here in many places. So you could actually use it day-to-day base, and that's it basically. Don't be scared, just go for it. Use the links I put below. Call some recruitment agencies. I'll also try and list some that I like below, and let me know how that went for you. I hope this helped you, and goodbye.